Technology, diversity, wine, the redwoods, and everything in between. Welcome to the Northern California Bay Area, and one show takes you inside the real estate that makes it all happen. This is By the Bay.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to By the Bay. I'm your host, Dan Ancheta. I'm grateful that you're here, and if you would please like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you might be listening to this. Also follow us on social media. That would be really appreciated. Today, I'm welcoming back my most favorite guest in the whole wide world, my lovely, beautiful, and talented wife, Megan Ancheta. I'm going to keep adding to your introduction as we go through. Thanks for being back on the show, hon.
My pleasure.
You're a fan favorite. Everyone loves you on the show. I get a ton of feedback whenever you're on the show. So thank you for being here. I think this is like the fourth or fifth time you've been on, which is
probably
great. So thanks for being here. Today, what I wanted to talk about was, well, last time we talked about goal setting, and today I thought we'd talk about how we are implementing, like the doing of those goals,
which is substantially more difficult than the setting of the goals.
So I think the tie-in is that, like, basically we're taking big projects, big plans, and we're putting them into small, more digestible pieces.
That is how one reaches their goals.
So it's not daunting. I think you can apply this if you're a first-time home buyer, if you're a mortgage originator, if you're a real estate professional in any way, to take your big goals and break them into small pieces. So, like, I wanted to hear from you because we were kind of laughing about how we'll have this conversation about, hey, here's the big plan. We're going to do this to the house. We're going to go on this vacation. We're going to save, do this, whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. Job's done. The goal is set. And then it kind of becomes like part of your job, like part of your role in our household is the implementation of a lot of those things. So let's talk about the like vacation planning. Like, first of all, we've changed from having a calendar that's like 6 months out to being like 2 years out. And that adds a level of complexity because like we're just booking things well in advance because of just how busy our life is and 3 kids and business and all this stuff. Like, I was looking at calendaring going to a mortgage conference and I was like, oh, nope, can't. There's already something planned. And that's like
we're
9 months away.
We're booked and busy.
It's booked. We're busy.
2025 is booked.
So if you're not already on the calendar in 2025,
you may submit your request for 2026
so,
to be on.
Talk to us about like how you actually go through the implementation of the big goal and breaking it down into something smaller.
Yeah, it's a fun process for me. I enjoy this line of work. I tend to run our household the way you tend to run our business. So we do a lot of the same things. We have a lot of the same strategies. My employee and client face-to-face is a lot different than yours.
Yeah, sometimes we both deal with some meltdowns and...
tantrums galore.
But that's okay.
You got to get through it.
Absolutely.
So I think one of my favorite things is that when we sit down at the end of the year or beginning of the year, and we set our list of what we really want to accomplish, then once we have those items, we go through our calendar and we see when we want to have those, like, what are our due dates, you know? For example, we have a vacation that we're planning for November of 2026, and that's because of the nature of the vacation, the cost, the planning that's needed, the coordination with other folks, and so that's where we landed, was taking the kids on this vacation in November of next year. So that means that now we have a date. We can start working backwards, and I think at the time gave us 20 months, maybe 22 months. So we can work backwards and divide, once we had the date, I started going through and seeing what it would cost for us to do this, because now Atlas is 3, so he'll be 4 by the time we go, almost 5. And so he will not be free anymore. Right. It's a lot easier to plan things when one or more of the kids were free, but we are out of that. So
yeah, it's like 5 calendars, right? Because kids have stuff. They've got their school stuff. They've got their extracurriculars. They have friends' birthdays and their birthday. There's just very, very busy active calendars.
We have 3 grades at 2 different schools. We have taekwondo. We've got tennis. We've got arts and performances and
school events and like you said, performances and other things, in addition to our business and all the stuff that goes into that. And there's, travel that we do and other things we have to do for work. So combining all that, plus maybe going and having some fun and going on a girls trip or doing something, going on.
Yes, I too am booked and busy.
Yeah, exactly. So I really like the idea of like, hey, this is far away, but it's actually going to be here before you realize it, right?
Well, yeah, it goes fast.
Right, goes fast. And so like you've taken this big goal and broken it down into small pieces. So now we know, like you did all the research. Here's what airfare is going to cost. Here's what hotel is going to cost. Here's what tickets are going to cost. Here's what, food budget, all these other things.
The snack budget alone.
The kids
The
eat
snack
a lot
budget
of snacks.
alone.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Bankrupting.
Like,
Let's talk about the berry budget. How does one plan for berries?
The kids ate like the entire thing of raspberries this morning. I was like, that's $9.
Yeah, you each owe me $3.
Anyway, that's a tangent.
So anyway, once we have the big plans, which is where you shine, then I like to kind of hunker down and do the research, figure out what our timeline is, how many months, weeks, whatever we need. Divide it all down, figure out how much we're going to save per month. And then having that goal, I know it might seem to some people daunting maybe, or maybe overwhelming or too far away. For me, it gives me a lot of, understanding and like a lot of encouragement, because once we have the plan set and we know what we need to do every month, then all of our other purchases I can reflect on, like, is this something I need? Is this going to help me reach our goal? Is this something that's going to contribute to the trip? And then it really just helps me kind of sift through the necessity of the purchases. And I end up not feeling like, you don't feel deprived, because I know sometimes saving or planning in this way can cause a sense of deprivation, but ultimately it's empowering because you're putting all of your effort towards meeting this goal.
Totally. And then you like set up a separate account. So every month we're transferring money and we can see that balance starting to go up. And then it's motivating to see like, hey, this is working, right?
Yeah, it
and
feels good.
We're getting closer. We know what that number is. We're getting closer to that budget number where we can go in and enjoy the trip and not worry about the massive credit card bill we're going to have when it's all done, because it's all paid for.
Yeah.
Right.
And as you keep these things rolling, we're planning this for 2026. We have plans for 2025. And then, this time next year, we'll be into 2027. So we'll still be chipping away at our 2026 trip because it won't be until November. But then we'll also have something on the books for 2027. So there's always something to look forward to. There's kind of always something keeping us in alignment with what we want to achieve. And
you're doing this not only for vacation stuff, but it's also like bigger home improvement projects and like larger, anything that's like a major purchase.
Yeah, one thing that I was laughing about with some girlfriends of mine is the overwhelming nature of buying a couch. If you have tried to buy a couch lately, my heart goes out to you, because it is exceedingly expensive. They're so difficult to find that fit your space. And if you do find one that fits the space, that has the performance fabric you need for your kids and dogs and cats and hamsters or whatever, and it's the right color, and it can be manufactured and shipped to you in less than 9 months, and it's not $14,000, like, you have go buy a lotto ticket, because you're the luckiest person in the world. Buying a sofa is so difficult. So even that, something as innocuous as that, you have to really plan and budget and save and figure it out and give yourself space to mourn the loss of all the sofas that you want but will never have.
Well, what you're describing, I think is really interesting. There's a lot of like labor and research time and energy that goes into figuring out things like furnishing your home and planning vacations, and even just like the week to week meal planning. There's a lot of like invisible labor that happens in a household that is not always recognized.
Got it.
Right. And it's like, how many hours do you spend like researching things and figuring them out and just to come up with the, like, is this feasible or not? Like answering that question. And
sometimes it's no. Sometimes you'll put 20 hours into a research project and you're like, no, this is not going to work out. Or I have to kick this can down the road like 5 years.
Right. Or this sofa, this whatever would work, but it's not in the budget until 2028 or whatever that is.
Honestly,
and then maybe it's not available then. Right.
Well, and then by then you're going to want something different.
Yeah. Things will have changed.
Kids
will be different.
Well, maybe
still be a mess. So yeah, I think it's again, the parallel is that everyone has some type of big goal, right? If you're a professional, if you're a home buyer, if you're just like, trying to take care of yourself and get physically fit or something, like whatever your goal is, whatever you're working on, that breaking into really small pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point where you're saying you can analyze every individual purchase that you make and go, is this worth it? Or should this $100 go just get us $100 closer to our goal, our trip, or whatever you're.
It creates a sense of mindfulness because you have to really tap into your values on these things and how much this goal means to you. And regardless of what it is, like you said, if you're trying to, it's the beginning of the year. So I know a lot of people have fitness goals and things like that. And, if that's on the top of your mind, it's like, is me ordering this lunch item out helping me meet my goal? And again, it kind of lessens that sense of I can't, the sense of deprivation or this kind of disheartening feeling of, I'm never going to get there, or this is, feeling like things are stacked up against you. And it empowers you because you're making a proactive decision based on what your personal value and needs are.
Right. Yeah, I think, it's not like you're going without, it's that you're making a conscious choice to do something different.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think there's a big difference there. I think that's why a lot of people fail in their goals because they feel like, oh, well, they're like punishing themselves. Well, I can't go do this. I can't do that. It's like, well, you can. You're choosing not to. And there's a difference. And that's a really important difference.
Yeah. And it's okay to say, that just doesn't align with my goals right now. I'm not going to spend my money there. I'm not going to spend my calories there. I'm not going to spend my energy there. Like whatever it is that you have in mind, you're making an active decision to prioritize that goal. And listen, sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes you just got to order that Thai food out and get on with the rest of your day.
Yeah.
And
I can tell you, you have a bad day. Sometimes you just need a French fry and,
it's sometimes the morale boost is going to be better for your goal
right.
than the deficit of whatever it's going to cost you against that goal.
Totally. I wonder how many people actually go through and break their goals down into small incremental pieces. And how many people just look at like the big mountain and go, just, how do we get to the top of that?
It's difficult because we are enticed with instant gratification. So having stepping stones is really hard to do. And I don't know that that's something that we're really taught to do or encouraged to do. Mm-hmm. But having kids and having been a teacher for a short time has really taught me that incentivizing is a great way to reach your goals. Mm. And it happens all the time. I'm in the classroom with our oldest daughter every Monday, and I volunteer with the arts program. And you go into any elementary school classroom and they've got an incentive, board or jar or something. They've got some kind of program. And one thing that I saw a lot of my friends doing this year was making bingo cards for themselves to mark off their goals. But if you want to break it down further, make yourself a punch card. Do you know how satisfying it is to just punch something off a punch card? It's great.
That's great.
It's fun.
What's your reward when you punch all 10 or something?
Up to you. Up to you.
How fun.
Yeah.
I gotta get some punch cards.
I can help you make them.
I was just something dawned on me. Do you like the delayed gratification thing? Do you think that is something that you learned because like you prior to kids, you're an avid backpacker, right?
Yes.
So do you think that mentality of like, there's going to be a payoff at some point, that sense of accomplishment, that view, that waterfall, that lake, whatever your objective was for the trip, do you think that plays into this kind of mentality of like small incremental pieces, like just get up this next switchback? Does that make sense?
Totally. I don't know if it's a kind of a chicken and an egg thing here. I don't know if it's like I'm really into incremental goal setting because I really enjoy this, or if backpacking fell into line with what I like because I'm into incremental.
You were attracted to backpacking made sense to you because...
Yeah. I love data. I love tracking things. I will track anything. I track my reading, track all my weightlifting. I'll track anything. I love data. And backpacking is a really wonderful way to do incremental steps because you know, okay, if I'm going to be out for 10 days, I need this many calories to stay alive. I need this many freeze-dried meals. I need this many bars. Okay, but then the bars weigh a lot. So, how much room is that going to take up in my pack and how heavy is that going to be? And
But I tell you, on day 7, a payday on day 7,
it's the best payday you've ever had in your life.
Hauling it around for a week.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. That filthy wrapper payday is going to be the best thing that you've eaten. A handful of Mike and Ike's when you're 50 miles into the backcountry, glorious.
It's totally true.
It's totally true.
I recall just a tangent, but remember the freeze-dried ice cream that we had?
Listen,
That was a monumental day.
if you want to feel like an astronaut, just go down to Dick's, get yourself some freeze-dried ice cream, go find a Vista. If you're in Petaluma, go to Helen Putnam, and just look into the horizon and have some freeze-dried ice cream. And it's not going to cure everything, but it's going to help with most things.
Yeah. The backstory is it was a week-long trip. I think we were like on day 5, and we had kind of gotten to the big destination, like the top of this hill mountain, and you could see the curvature of the earth. I mean, it was really cool. And it was like the sunset, and we sat there and we ate our freeze-dried ice cream and just were like, this is what this is all about.
It's the closest you'll ever get to being an astronaut.
Yeah.
Sitting on 10,000 feet and eating freeze-dried ice cream.
Yeah, good. There's a good time. So, by the way, it's tangent. If you haven't been out to Sequoia, Kings Canyon, and seen that amazing landscape, put it on your list and go check it out. It's one of the coolest places on the earth. Anyway.
Absolutely. But yes, to your point, backpacking requires you chipping away. You're not going to get anything day one, and you're going to feel miserable, and it's going to feel overwhelming. But you know, you just one foot in front of the other. That's how you got to keep going.
I think I'm like thinking back to those days. It would be like just a mile marker, like just walk to the next tree, like just get to the next patch of shade, right? And then like instead of thinking about, oh, we've got 30 miles to do, or we've got, a 15-mile day, or whatever our days were. If you think about the 15 miles, it's really daunting. But if you're like, just make it to the next switchback, or to the next tree, or the next whatever, then, that's just, you can make it there. It's not that far.
Well, and everything is a finite amount of work. Nothing goes on forever.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. I remember you told me one of the first times that you took me out, because it was Meg's thing, and I joined her. She's the backpacker. I was the added person. That I was maybe the first or second trip we went on. I was dogging it one day, and you're like, "Do you realize that there's a finite number of steps you have to take? Like there's a finite number of steps from beginning to end. So the sooner you take those steps, the sooner they're done. So if there's like 100,000 steps to take, if you're gonna slowly take each one, you're still got to take 100,000 steps. So just get them done."
Yeah, you can do it miserable, or you can do it happy. It's up to you. but you're still going to do it, because you can't break camp until we get where we're going.
Right. And some points there's no place to camp. Like there was no choice. Yeah. You have to make it to the spot.
This was also my fault for bringing you into like backcountry backpacking. I should have taken you on a few trails into a few camping spots first, but no, I was like,
I'm glad you didn't.
We're going to see that mountain way over there. We're going to go over it.
Well, yeah, this is we're full of tangents today. But the thing is that the very first time I went out with you, we went to Bear Paw Meadow, where they have like the glamping thing where they'll take you out on a donkey or a horse or whatever.
Pack mule.
That's it. And they'll like cook you steak. They're like,
when you get back, yeah.
There's like margaritas and steak.
They do have happy hour.
And like heaters in the middle of this beautiful place. But if you're not paying to stay there, you stay adjacent to it, and you're in like your dirty tent, and you've got your freeze-dried meal, and you're like hearing people like laughing and drinking and partying. You smell the steak, and you're like eating your freeze-dried, pho, or not pho, with the pad thai. That was the one I liked.
Oh, so good.
Anyway, that was interesting. That was like a big experience for me. I was like, why don't we go let's go get the steak. We didn't do that.
Yeah, because it's like $3,000 a night.
Yeah, it's cool experience though. Anyway, I'm not sure why I got on that topic, but I think that it does play into this whole thing of like breaking everything down into small pieces. So that's the overall theme. So if you're like planning to buy a house, if you're a real estate professional, mortgage pro, look at your like what can you do to look at your goals and break them down into really small bite-sized pieces, right? Make it so it's just getting from here to the next tree. Don't look at the miles, look at the next thing that you can see, ahead of you, and just walk to that next point. And if you do that consistently, and you do that, like you said, as happily as you can, and just, get from point A to point B, you're making incremental progress every single day.
Yeah, you're always making progress. If you're taking a step forward, you're always making progress.
Right.
And setting reasonable and realistic goals there's a finite amount of work that you have to do to reach that goal. If you set wackadoodle goals, like I want to be president of the moon, okay, well, like that's going to be infinity work because I don't really know how to accomplish that. But if it's like I want to take the kids on vacation next year, okay, well, that's the big goal. Break it down into months, break it down into weeks. Think about it day to day. Is this going to get me to that goal? And then you're there.
Perfect. So as you're implementing the goals that you've set and you're not thinking about what you want to accomplish in 2025, focus on creating like smaller sub goals and do the daily worksheet. Like, what do you have to do every single day to meet those goals? So if you're trying to make X amount of loans this year, then you need to take a certain number of applications per day or per week, which means you have to have a certain number of conversations or referrals per day. And instead of focusing on, the closing of the loans, which you have very limited control over, it's really about working on getting those introductions and converting those leads to be clients, because that's what you can actually control. Right.
Well, and then this becomes a habit. So using the analogy of backpacking, the first day is really hard, but you get through it. And then, your muscles get a little stronger. Your resolve gets a little stronger. Your mental acuity gets a little sharper. And then as you're walking, now it's becoming habit. And as you're building these habits in your business, okay, if I want to make, I don't know, five loans a month, and then that means I need to get in front of maybe 50 people. I need to have 50 conversations, and okay, I've got 20 working days a month, so I need to have at least 2.5 conversations. So between 2 and 3 a day. Once you start doing that and you remember, you're mindful, okay, 2 to 3 a day is going to get me to this goal. That's going to become a habit. And when you're doing that every single day, that goal is going to meet itself eventually, because now you're in the habit of having those 2 to 3 conversations.
Right.
And now you can add another goal, because that goal is already kind of on autopilot, because now your new normal is making sure you have 2 to 3 conversations every business day.
Yeah. And taking a step back from there is that if you need to have 2 to 3 conversations every single day, then that is your whole objective, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's your non-negotiable. Before the day is over, I must have 2 to 3 conversations every single day if I'm going to meet my goal. And so if you just you're focusing on what's actually important and not wasting energy focusing on things that are beyond your control, right? You can't control the market. You can't control prices. You can't control what rates are doing. You can't control lots of things. But what you can control is like having really, really great conversations with people, building trust, and helping them achieve their goals.
And now that you know that that's what you're going to do, what resources do you need, or what resources can you gather, or who can you reach out to for resources to help you get a stepping stone for this goal? Do you need to, like, you just recently joined a BNI group, and that's helping you have conversations flow. That's causing your network to kind of spider out a little bit more. I know a lot of people join Rotary, but that was a huge influence in your business and our lives for many, many years. Mm-hmm. So having those outlets, once you have things kind of narrowed down, it's easier to see, okay, this outlet is going to really help me, or this resource is going to really help me. Or maybe there's somebody who's like really sucking your energy and they're taking up a lot of your time every single day. If you're in an office, or if you're, whatever it is. Now we know we just got to kind of bypass that.
Right.
That obstacle.
Yes. In Todd Duncan's coaching, they call it the law of the broom, where you have to eliminate distractions and people who are a burden on your time, essentially. And that could be a referral partner and other people, to make room for quality relationships that build you up instead of, kind of suck your energy away.
Yeah.
And I think that's it's hard to do,
sure.
But it's really important to keep that in mind.
In the Megan Ancheta coaching, it's called Ain't Nobody Got Time for That. So I have to reflect.
Yeah, we got to start your...
Do I have time for this?
No. Got to start your coaching company. I think you would, do really well there. Cool. Well, I think it's really cool that that the way that you handle our household stuff, and like the way that you're, like, I look at the calendar, I'm like, wow, this is very well thought out, very, very clear. And there's a lot to learn from that. So that's why I wanted to bring that up in our show today, because I think the practical things that you're doing household-wise apply to business, apply to first-time home buyers, apply to lots of things. So thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
No, my
I
pleasure.
appreciate you being here on By the Bay, and we'll have you back, I don't know, in a couple weeks. We got to keep our listenership up.
Put it on the calendar.
Yeah, exactly. Got to see if there's any space on the calendar.
Yeah, we're booked and busy.
That's right. So I will consult the calendar right after this and schedule you for your next visit. But thank you for being here on By the Bay, hon.
My pleasure.
And thank you for listening. And if you send us a message if you have any questions that we want us to answer on Meg's next episode. Thank you for being here.
Stay up to date with Bay Area real estate. Hit subscribe now if you haven't already. Did you enjoy this episode? We love reviews in the Apple Podcasts app. We'll read yours on the show. This is By the Bay.
Lend an Ear Media.